Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here, and this is episode 2, playing in Millennium Dawn, a modern-day mod for Hearts of Iron 4, as the kingdom now of Greece, with the goal of recreating the Byzantine Empire. So, if you did not see episode 1, there's a link in the description below that will take you back to the beginning, where I first began the process, number 1, of transforming Greece into a kingdom, which it is now here in August of 2002, but also the process of recreating and reconquering the territory that was once held by the Byzantine Empire. So I've gobbled up Bulgaria and now Romania, which now finally allows me to have a little bit of resources that I didn't have before. Greece starts out with very little, except for a decent army for the size country that it is. I'm once again pretty much out of manpower, though, and as I look ahead to what's next, I have started producing not new units, but the things that I need to replenish my army for what I've lost. Manpower is going to always be an issue until I start building up a little bit more of a population, and I have huge issues even after taking Romania as far as having enough, besides steel, of what I need. So I don't have enough chromium, I don't have enough tungsten, rubber, aluminum, or oil right now. So I have to once again think about resources. And though it would not really be a part of the Byzantine Empire, Ukraine has a lot of resources. Among other things, they've got a lot of steel, which again, I already have steel, but it gives me the ability to trade with other nations, which should then build up the number of civilian factories I have that I can start producing some of the other things that I need. There's really not a whole lot else I can go for as far as resources go until we get to, say, Austria, who's got a nice amount of tungsten production, a little bit of oil, a little bit of aluminum. So that would be a biggie for me right there. So, maybe the thing to do is to go ahead and gobble up these former Yugoslav states, even though they don't offer me much as far as resources go, because it opens up the door for me to get at Austria. But, of course, we have to look at Austria. They don't have any diplomacy. They're communist, so they're not part of NATO. They're not part of the EU. That I'm aware of, and even if they are, so they have no alliances, they have nobody to protect them. Hungary, different story. They're a part of NATO, and they're in the way, so I'm going to have to go through these former Yugoslav nations, Slovenia, Croatia, and the Yugoslavian kingdom, which apparently exists. So we're going to go through them to get to Hungary, because that's the next place that has resources, plus this is all a part of that empire that I'm trying to recreate. Obviously, the two biggies for me right now are going to be Turkey and Italy, which are both going to be super tough nuts to crack without some significant help from allies. So I'm going to have to think about alliances. So let's go in. We'll kind of jump in and out as conditions warrant. All right, so a couple of things about to happen here now that it's the middle of October of 2002. Number one is we've completed national focus, and I'm going to start focusing more on the political end of things now for a little bit. And there's a couple of different ways I can go here. One of them is, of course, the interventionalism versus isolation. I don't think I'm going that way. International alliances allows me to create factions, which is probably going to come in handy once I go after some of the big boys like Italy and Turkey. But for now, I'm looking at some things here. Primarily the research incentives, which is going to allow me to get that extra research slot. But over here as well, crackdown on contraceptives, which actually removes negative birth rate and gains stagnant birth rate, which, so right now I want to look at this because apparently I've got an issue. I don't see it though, so I don't know why it would remove that. I'm not entirely sure what the point of that would be. So I think we're going to go ahead and ignore that for now. And I don't know exactly what is happening with my controller here. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and go down and look at some of these because unity and stability, those feel like they would be important things to do. But for now, I'm looking over here. I think we've already done the ideology focuses that we can. So let's go ahead, foreign policy. We're going to start working on being able to create factions, which is going to help me a lot, I think, moving forward in the game, especially since I'm not very powerful on my own. I've also begun to... What is going on here? I've begun the process of declaring war both on Yugoslavia and on Croatia, which is going to get me a couple of steps closer to Austria, which is the prize that I'm after right now for their resources. And it looks like February of 2003 is where the first one will the first hammer will fall, and then Croatia will follow a couple of months after that in May of 2003. So I should be done with Yugoslavia by the time I get to Croatia, and then we can look at Slovenia and Austria. So as stability is a bit of an issue for me right now, I'm looking at making a change to my taxes. Now, it's going to increase the consumer goods factories, but it's going to, going from moderate to low taxes does a couple of things. It improves my population, extra 1%. We also get a 1% bonus to stability every 10 weeks. So, 0.1% per week. It's a little bit, but it adds up. And those two little things will certainly help. So let's take a look now at my stability. We are now at the place where we are gaining 0.3% every week. So every 3 weeks, we're getting a percent bonus to stability, which eventually is going to affect things like political power gain, dockyard output, factory output. So those are all good things. And we've completed foreign policy. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's next in that department. I think we're going to go to international alliances so we can start creating factions. Not entirely sure who I'm going to be able to invite to my faction, but if I can get a couple of bigger powers on my side, even if they don't border me, that gives me a little bit of protection against some of the countries from NATO, for example, when I go to war with Italy or with Turkey. So I think that'll be helpful. All right, there's our justification. And I was just starting to queue up some military factories. I'm working on infrastructure right now, which not only is going to help with my factories, but also is going to help with the production in those areas. So let's go ahead and declare war on Yugoslavia. We'll knock them off. Shouldn't take very long at all. I'm just hoping I don't declare too many wars and kind of tick off the world quickly. So I think some of these smaller powers, they're not going to make too much of an issue of this, especially when I conquer them in about a week or so. And the world tension is only 5%, so it's really not going to get anybody too riled up. Hey, submarine nuclear reactors done. I am working on, I didn't mention this, but I am working on submarine production. Since I've got a few naval factories available, submarines seem to be the way to go. So I'm doing a little research for that as well. Hey, there's a coup in Vatican City. I think that might have happened before. That seems to happen a lot on this game for some reason. I'm not going to deal with all my research and stuff. We're just going to let this war play out here for a minute, and then we'll deal with that. Working on upgrading the artillery. All right, looks like we've hit a bit of a slow patch here with the war, so we're going to move this along manually. Let's see real quick. I'm just curious about how the... I don't know why this happens so often, every so often. So I've lost 1,000. He's lost 18,000. So like my other wars, it's going pretty quickly and pretty favorably, which is nice because I can't afford to lose a lot of men in a war, at least not right now, which is one more reason why I'm really worried about going to war with somebody like Italy. So we're going to have to wait a while. I think it's going to be probably a decade or more before we're in place to do that. There's international alliances. What in the world is taking so long? And why are we not going after some of these other territories? So we'll deal with that and we'll come back when it's finished. All right, so we have taken Yugoslavia with very little trouble, and now we start planning the invasion of Croatia, which is going to happen from two sides because we've got this tiny little border down here, down on the Adriatic Sea. So we're going to send 7 divisions up that way, and then the other 23 are going to come this way, and that's going to get us right to the borders of Slovenia. So Slovenia and then Austria will be coming next, and we're just going to continue that process of building up our stability. U.S. has gone to war. It's March of 2003, so I would assume that's Iraq. Yeah, it is. So that's right on schedule. That has driven up the world tension way more than anything that I've done so far. So interesting to note that, but we'll see what happens. We're just going to continue down this process. By the end of 2003, we should be on the doorstep of Austria. So while I'm thinking about this, obviously with production being an issue, I'm going to start producing some factories. So we're going to make rubber factory that's going to give us 10 in rubber, which will actually meet the current demands that I have. Chromium and tungsten, it's not quite that much. Aluminum, though, one aluminum factory gives me a decent amount there. That's 15. That's nice. And those are relatively inexpensive to produce. They don't take a lot of production. So we're going to start working on our own production rather than relying on conquering everybody else for that stuff. So I think those things are going to help me moving forward as well, just to kind of build up that infrastructure. All right, so I completed the military industry national focus. We're going to shift back over this way to internal politics for a little bit. And I'm looking at a few things here. I think I'm going to go here, secure national unity. It's going to give me a plus 5% to base war support as well as stability. Those little things make a big difference right now. And we're just about 2 weeks away from the invasion of Croatia. And I think that'll probably go pretty quickly once it begins. All right, here we go. The invasion of Croatia. Croatia can commence just as soon as we declare war, that is. And I looked at the possibility of factions creating, getting some allies. And because I'm a monarchy, I actually need world tension to be at 10%. Or not 10%, that's where it is. I need it at 50% in order to be able to invite anyone to my faction. So unlikely for quite a while until some major world war breaks out somewhere that I'm not involved in. So we're going to march up and deal with Croatia. And like my other wars thus far, this one should go fairly quickly. It looks like the war in Iraq is over. The United States has won that. All right, I got to take a look here because my armies are actually marching right past everybody here. So we've got to go back and cover our tracks a little bit. But we're marching on Croatia pretty quickly. Looks like a couple of weeks is all this one's going to take. Italy has left NATO. Thank you very much. Boy, that makes my job a little bit easier. All right, we got to go down here and take his new capital. Man, I'm so glad Italy left NATO right as I was getting to their doorstep. That sure makes my job a little bit easier. Let's get these guys marching down in here. So Croatia putting up a little bit of a fight. The shape of their country certainly has something to do with that. But that's over with. So now we take all states from Croatia. And the Greek kingdom continues to grow. We've got these 3 little states that I'm just going to leave alone for now because it really doesn't do me a lot of good to go after them. There's very little in the way of resources. But eventually we will, just because, hey, we're trying to form the Ottoman Empire. So it looks like I've got most of this region now under my control. So now we start to look towards Central Europe. And Slovenia will be the next power to fall. I say power loosely because they aren't really a power. So 175 days to do that. And we're also going to go ahead and look at Austria and start justifying that war goal. Now, I'm a little nervous about Austria just because I feel like that could be the first point at which somebody takes notice and gets a little unhappy about what I'm doing. So I'll have to tread carefully there. But in the meantime, I want to look at construction because I've completed my rubber factory and my first aluminum factory. And now we're on the plus side for aluminum and getting very close with rubber. So one more rubber factory should do it there. A tungsten and chromium factory will actually put me on the plus side with those as well. So we're getting close to being self-sufficient, but not quite there yet. Well, as I'm waiting for the time to arrive, which is actually going to be right before Christmas, December, that I'll be able to invade Slovenia, I'm looking at Italy, and Italy's not the big juggernaut I thought they might be. Only between 12 and 24 divisions, which puts them pretty much on par, actually less than what I have. What they do have going for them is a larger navy and a pretty decent-sized air force, but really not that big. So I'm not quite as scared as them as I thought I would be. Their estimated manpower is only around 100,000, which, again, looking at mine, I've got 174,000 in the field. So I think I might be able to take them on, especially now that they left NATO, that certainly makes my job a little easier. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the next national focus, which now that I've completed these two, I've got a decision to make here if I want to go further. If I go mobilize the female workforce, that's going to hurt my monthly population, which is kind of an issue for me right now. I'm trying to build that population up to try and get some more manpower. It'll certainly help my factory output, or I can go traditional values, which is going to give me a plus 20% monthly population, which I think right now I need more than I need the factory output. So it's going to hurt my war support. Not a huge deal. I think we're going to go traditional values. So don't be giving me comments about making the woman go home and be barefoot and pregnant, but that's basically what we're doing here. It's a game, people, but that's what we're doing. So trying to build up that population as best I can. All right, so you can see that because of my construction of my factories, I'm now just about self-sufficient. Oil's the only thing I'm short on now, and we're going to correct that here in just a minute. But synthetic refinery is only going to give me 3. And what do I need? I need 6. I'm going to need 2 of those refineries to get there, only to probably find that I need something again, and they're already tungsten. So I'm getting closer, and I'm starting to finally stabilize my economy a little bit. And we're going to be invading Slovenia here in just about a month. All right, there's one more thing I can do here. We're going to open our country for our immigration policy. So that's going to, once again, between that and traditional values, we're going to see a big influx in population here very quickly, right around the time we invade Slovenia. All right, Japan has adapted Article 9, which means they are going to start remilitarizing. So they might go to war with somebody. At the very least, they're no longer going to have just a defense force. So there's traditional values. And we're going to go down and crack down on contraceptives, which removes negative birth rate and gains stagnant birth rate. So that's one step further on that kind of direction that we're going. And so we're at a place now where we should be seeing a decent increase in our population. And we could change conscription law, but I don't think I'm going to go that route. Recruitable population growth right now is about 93 a month. So that's super bad. I just don't have enough population here. But here we go with the invasion of Slovenia, which is going to set us up for the big one, which is Austria. All right, Slovenia, here we come. This is going to be super quick. This is a really small country. I'm guessing 4 days max. Merry Christmas. 3, and there it is. Yeah, it was pretty much 4 days. So they've capitulated, which means, are we not going to have a peace conference here? I guess not. We're still at war. Who are we at war with? So somebody jumped in on the side of Slovenia. No, it's them. They just are refusing to actually surrender. So that kind of stinks, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Well, no sooner had I said that than the peace conference happened. So there we go. We've got it. So that gets us, wow, 17%. Did that really raise the world tension by that much? Yeah, I guess so. Wow. I wasn't expecting that to be the case, but that raised world tension a little more than I expected, which makes me think that maybe I'm starting to get the notice of other folks, and I want to be a little more cautious at this point about what I do from here. So we're going to get ready for the invasion of Austria, and I think that'll be how we stop this episode, will be when we complete that, because at that point we turn our attention to Italy, and that'll be episode 3, I think, will be then taking on Italy. All right, we're about to crack down on contraceptives, so there's that for what it's worth. And now we're going to go ahead and go down and unlock these additional research slots. I haven't done that sooner just because I'm caught up on most of the areas of research that I'm interested in, which means it just would have been wasting time to try and research ahead. But you can see manpower continues to be a real issue for me, though my recruitable population now is 215 additional per month. So that did make a big difference with the crackdown on contraceptives. We're getting very, very close. We're just 2 months away now, And I want to just show what we're constructing. We're working on military factories now, so I can work on all of those equipment that I need to upgrade and deploy. And I've got currently 27 civilian factories that are working on those things. So it's nice to finally have a decent economy for a change. Okay, here we go. And before I do this, just want to let you know, as I looked at it, Austria's actually got a more powerful military than even Italy does. So this is not going to be easy. He's got 20 to 36 divisions, which means he's probably got more than me. He's definitely got more manpower than I do, or at least right about the same. So let's do this, but understand I'm probably going to get wiped out on manpower. Now, I suddenly have 32,000 available manpower, so that's starting to grow for the first time. But here we go. On to Austria. This might be a tough one, but I'm hoping air power combined with what I would think is a better equipped, more technologically advanced military is going to help me. I do have air superiority, so that helps. But we're going to have to, for the first time, probably be kind of smart with how I go about invading this country. But it seems like we're going to take Vienna with very little difficulty, which is good because I really don't want to deal with the mountains. So we're kind of trying to go around the mountains here as best we can. I'm going to pause for just a second because I want to see how it's going. Yeah, we've lost 15,000, which is far more than I've lost in any of the other wars. That's already half of the manpower that I had available to me. So this is the first war that's really going to hurt me. But if we can take Vienna, I'm hoping that'll mean a quick end to this war. I don't know what more I'm going to need to take, but there's Vienna. Where's that put me? That puts me pretty close to being able to take him out. So now we've got to march on Salzburg, which isn't going to be easy because that's in the mountains. So here we go. All right, we've got some of his army surrounded. That actually helps me a lot. If I can take those guys out, maybe we do this a little quicker. Nice. All right, so let's see where that kind of puts the situation. I've got to deal with national focus and stuff like that as well. So, all right, he's now got between 100 and 127,000 in manpower, so we've got him there. We've inflicted more casualties. Man, this is tough. This is going to wipe out my manpower, but had to be done. So we'll go ahead and skip ahead to the end here. All right, I think we're just about there. We've taken Salzburg. We've cut his country in two. And now we're surrounding and we're starting to destroy some of his divisions. So technology combined with the makeup of my army seems to have made the difference, even though numbers-wise we were pretty even. That actually ended up being a pretty easy victory, but not without cost. So let's pause there. But that was a big one for me because that vastly improves my resources. That gives me my first real victory to kind of hang my hat on. That's pretty good there, and that sets me up for the invasion of Italy. But hopefully we start building up the manpower again, because you can see I'm down to just 7,000, so that definitely wiped me out of my available manpower. But now, as we look at trade, now we're starting to produce a lot, and that's going to be really helpful moving forward. So I'm going to wrap it up right there. I think that's a good stopping point. We've made a lot of progress. Italy's the next big one. We take Italy, and then we start to move east. We deal with Turkey, which hopefully we don't deal with until maybe they leave NATO or something happens there, because I don't want to go to war with all of NATO. So we're going to have to move east. We might have to wait on Turkey until last, and maybe we cross the Mediterranean and go after Egypt, Libya, some of those areas, so we can get the northern part of Africa, which is a part of the Byzantine Empire as well. So let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. As always, I welcome your comments, your criticisms, your suggestions, your ideas, your questions, and we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching, guys.